Welcome to 100 Yards of Football. Today is our NFL Draft Special. Today, we're going to highlight Kadarius Toney, wide receiver out of the University of Florida. If you like the video today, please come in and share it. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. Joining me today, as always, over the last few weeks, is one of the most talented guys that knows all about the prospects. He was a lead scout for 4 years with the New York Jets under Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick. He has a book that's one of the best sellers on Amazon, Whatever It Takes. In 2017, he was one of the last candidates for the GM job with the Cleveland Browns. My man, Mr. Daniel Kelly. So sit back and enjoy 100 Yards of Football this morning as we break down Kadarius Toney out of the University of Florida. How you doing this morning, Mr. Kelly?
Absolutely. Hey, I'm doing very well, Mr. Turner. With that kind of introduction, I better bring the heat.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's talk about Mr. Toney.
Absolutely. I'm really excited about this guy. This is a guy whose background, he received an offer from Alabama coming out of high school, but he chose Florida. I've seen him nicknamed the human joystick. Why? Because it looks like a video game when he plays. I mean, this guy is incredible. I mean, he looks diminutive, but he plays big. He's 6 foot tall, 194 pounds. And I want you to do something for me, Mr. Turner, and everybody in our audience. I want you to do something for me, okay?
Yes, sir.
I want you to close your eyes, and I want you all to think of Barry Sanders. Do you remember Barry Sanders?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Oklahoma State.
Do you get the vision? Are you seeing him run?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can open your eyes. Because that's what I think of this guy. This guy's like Barry Sanders, only playing wide receiver. This guy's electric and he's smooth. He's been said to be the shiftiest player in college football. He excels at wide receiver with those short receiver bubble routes where he can pluck the ball with confidence with his hands and go. Great yak. You remember, Mr. Turner, we talked about yak, right? Y-A-C, yards after the catch. This guy excels after the catch. He has vision, he has balance, and he has toughness. He is hard to bring down for a little guy. And he has the drive. This guy wants it. He wants the end zone. And there's nobody can coach that up in a player. There's nobody can instill that. Like Bill Parcells, the guy who hired me with the New York Jets, once said, if they don't bite when they're puppies, they're generally not going to bite. This is very true. This guy's got that end zone. He wants the end zone, and he's got the drive to do it. Like I said, he's hard to bring down. He's got a combination of quicks, and he's got a combination of football speed. What I mean by that, don't fall asleep on this guy and think he's just a short guy, short route guy. He can get behind the defense and take it to the house. This guy can also, he's almost like a jack of all trades, if you will. This is a guy that can take a direct snap. He can take a handoff. He can take a reverse. And don't forget something. He can also throw the ball. You remember, Mr. Turner, Brian Mitchell, the old quarterback down from Louisiana that played with the Washington Redskins for years and years as a running back?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. That's what this guy reminds me of. And he's somebody who played quarterback in high school at a very high level. He was considered a dual threat guy coming out in their first spring game when he was 18 years old for the Orange and Blue spring game down in Florida. He stole the show and was said, I will read this. He said he was quoted to have provided the most fun and excitement we've seen out of a quarterback since the Tim Tebow era. I mean, that's how serious we're talking about this. In high school, he once threw a pass 70 yards and he threw 69 touchdowns over his last 2 seasons in high school. This is a guy that can take the handoff, can run around, can throw the ball, jack of all trades. Somebody I would love, L-O-V-E. We just got done celebrating Valentine's Day. I would love to have this guy on my team on offense because I want to have multiple guys on my offense that can touch the ball, can run, pass, and throw to create some gimmicks on the offense to throw the defenses in the NFL for even more of a loop. This is a guy who shows a lot of confidence. He has.
Yes, Kadarius Toney, wide receiver out of the University of Florida. As we lost Mr. Kelly, but I'm going to give you my outlook on Mr. Toney here. as we go forward with 100 yards football. Hopefully we get Mr. Kelly back on there with us here shortly. But when you look at Kadarius Toney, what I like about him, he comes out of Mobile, Alabama. He went to Manny High School, one of the best high schools in the state of Alabama. And when you look at the high school he went to, it produced Derrick Burrows, who's a first-round pick of the Buffalo Bills, Sherman Williams, who was a second-round pick of the Dallas Cowboys in 1995, and a quarterback that was a standout at Auburn University by DeJuan Craig, who's a really outstanding football player, who's now the wide receiver coach at Texas A&M. And look at the city of Mobile, Alabama, with all the great athletes that Mr. Toney has followed. Hank Aaron in baseball, Willie McCovey in baseball, DeMarcus Cousins in basketball. Then you look at football in that great area of Mobile. Mr. Richard Todd that played at Alabama, Scott Hunter that played at Alabama. Oh my God. Then you think about Robert Bazile at Jackson State. Oh my God. Hanford Dixon that went to Southern Mississippi. Jamarcus Russell that went to LSU. Help me out, Jesus. T. Martin that went to Tennessee. This young man, Kadarius Toney, comes from that type of area, so I'm not surprised. But I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Kelly and finish your observation of Mr. Kadarius Toney, the University of Florida.
Well, he's a playmaker. That's a great analysis, Mr. Turner. He's a playmaker. And on NFL teams, you can never have too many of those guys. He's a guy that can make the fans get out of their seats and stand. That's the type of energy and electricity this guy brings. And you bring up a great point, Mr. Turner. You bring up that 8 Mile thing. I remember a movie called 8 Mile by a young man named Eminem, right? You got one shot. Come on, Mr. Turner, sing it for me. You got one shot, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely,
yes, sir.
Absolutely. Throwing up, having mama's spaghetti on the sweater. You know, this is a guy that really excites me. Like I said at the top of the show, and somebody, like I said, don't be surprised if he slips into the first 10 or 15 picks, much like he slips through defenses as he has in college. This guy is born for the lights. He's born to play big. This guy is going to make a major impact in the National Football League.
And then when you look at Kadarius Toney, as I just mentioned, all the great players that he followed in the area out of the Mobile area at Monty T. Blunt High School, think about this. He went to Florida. You mentioned in the spring game, he really went up there as a quarterback. He played multiple positions. His freshman, he was hurt his sophomore year. Then his junior year, he was hurt again. But he waited his time behind two great receivers that went in the NFL last year, Van Jefferson and Freddie Swain. But what I like about him, he bringing that Florida tradition. Think about this. Percy Harvin, 2009, first-round pick with the Vikings. Ike Hilliard, 1997, first round with the New York Giants. Then you look at Redale Anthony, first round with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a guy, and let me throw in Wes Chandler, first round, 1978 with the New Orleans Saints. Kadarius Toney has all the talent and all these gentlemen I just mentioned. But what I like about him, I'm going to give him my what I call report card. Speed, 4.3, A+. Vertical, 41 inches, A+. Acceleration, A+. Field vision, as you mentioned, Mr. Kelly, very excellent, A+ at a high level. Dangerous in space. What I mean by that, he's a guy, you can throw that little 4 or 5 yard route, and just as you said, Mr. Kelly, with your jet sweeps, and he can make you miss. But this is what I love about Kadarius Toney. Think about this. We're not even talked about his hands. In 123 catchable balls, he only had 3 drops. Then I'm going to bring up another important statistic. This past season, on 78 receptions, he forced 20 missed tackles. So he's a young man, as you mentioned, Mr. Kelly, he's a human joystick. And then I'm going to end it with this. He going into the NFL, I compare him to a lot of receivers that's played at this level. I'm going to take you back to Randall Carr, first round pick in 2011 out of Alcoa, Tennessee, by way of the Green Bay Packers. He got that type of acceleration quickness like Randall Carr. Then I'm going to take you to the release off the line of scrimmage. I think it's a young man playing at a high level right now with the Green Bay Packers by the name of Devontae Adams. Then
my favorite receiver in the league.
Then I'm going to take you to his vertical. I just mentioned his vertical, 41 inches, A+. Go all the way back to a receiver out of Indianapolis, Indiana, by way of Louisville University. Got drafted in the same draft and became teammates of Dan Marino. I think he had a pretty good career by the name of Mark Clayton. Kadarius Toney has all these makeups, and to me, I like him as a first round player going into the first round. And you talk about playmakers, we talk about the Tariq Hills, we talk about the Julio Jones. I believe Kadarius Toney is going to be that type of player. And you know how I do it, Mr. Kelly. I always bring out one game film. Well, go look at the Ole Miss game film from 2020. You'll see a lot of what we call joystick. Then go look at the LSU game when he made a lot of people miss. But the credit I'm going to give him, all I have to say, you know how I do it here. How do you play in big games against big-time people and NFL talent all over the field? University of Alabama, I don't have to say it no more. 8 receptions, 153 yards, 19 yards to catch, 1 touchdown, and I think he handled himself real well in the national championship game against Alabama. And he went up against Patrick Surtain, who's highly rated. Josh Joby is highly rated. And Malachi Moore, who's one of the top safeties as a freshman at the University of Alabama. We know what Alabama done. They won the national championship. So final words, Mr. Kelly, about Kadarius Toney, wide receiver out of the University of Florida.
Well, I tell you, that's the most you've ever talked about prospect, I think, Mr. Turner. So I know you're excited.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. I can feel the excitement. You know, something too we haven't really touched on, I want to quickly point out, is his value on special teams. Being a guy who's a first special team scout in the history of the National Football League with the New York Jets, which was my 3rd season, I want to point out the value this young man brings also to the return game as a punt returner. He has value, a lot of value. That's a buzzword that teams throw around the NFL, is value, and this guy's a gold mine.
Well, my final words about Kadarius Toney is very simple. He's a very special talent. I talked about the area he came from in Mobile, Alabama. Much kudos to that great area for football and athletes. I just mentioned one of the greatest baseball players who passed a couple of weeks ago, Hank Aaron, is from the same area as this young man. And he went to Mighty T. Blunt High School that is really known for football. And I just mentioned Derek Burrows, who played at the University of Memphis, first-round pick in the 1985 draft by the Buffalo Bills. So this young man is already going to come in the National Football League with a lot of skills. And then he went to the University of Florida, and I mentioned Ike Hilliard, Reedale Anthony, Percy Harvin, Wes Chandler. Well, I'm going to tell you this. He's going to be the next Gator that's going to perform at a high level. If you like the video today, please comment and share. We surely appreciate you here at 100 Yards of Football. And enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you, and God bless. Go Gators.
God bless you. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.